like it. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Adam Clearsby. Welcome to Box3 Motorsports Season 5, Round 4, Race 4, whatever you want to call it. We are at the Nürburgring today, ready to catch all the action trackside. Unfortunately for all of you, I will today not be joined by Mr. Philip Weltcakes Millie, who is traveling to visit family. We wish him safe travels everywhere he goes. And I'm going to get this out of the way right now. It might be Super Bowl Sunday if you're in the United States. I'm just going to say it. Go Birds. Frank Reynolds gets it. He knows what I'm talking about. Again, welcome in, everybody. We are at the Nürburgring, getting ready for today's Round 4 action. AM and Pro-Am racing coming up first. Thank you all for joining me. I appreciate everybody being here. We're going to have a lot of fun today. See on your screen there. Nürb. Again, like all the other tracks, either love it or hate it, it seems. I know it's one of TG's favorites. Back to the Box3 Motorsports Season 5 action. So let's get down on track. Free practice started here in this session for our AM and Pro-Am drivers. So we get everything set up and ready to go. As I said, I want to welcome everybody in. The chat is just popping off today. I think everybody's excited because it's Super Bowl. They're excited because, well, I don't know why they're excited, except for the fact that it's race day, right? That's probably the biggest reason. Because it's race day, and everybody loves race day. As I said, starting off today. Hold on, wait a minute. There's a pantsless party going on in chat? Why is there a pantsless party going off in chat? I'm a little confused. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't just a little bit scared of that and nervous. But we'll let you guys have at it. So far, 18 drivers on track today for the AM and Pro-Am race. You see our drivers there. Kenny O'Connor leading out so far with a 157.6. With our current fastest lap. On your screen right now, though, Stephen Omazik. And I was informed right before the race, Darrell Sainz Taylor will be here. I think I got that right. Everybody getting out on circuit. Bob Charlton laying out the fastest here in the free practice session. Again, quick 5-minute practice. We will then head into our qualifying. And today, a 45-minute race for our AM and Pro-Am drivers. Followed immediately, we will be joining, probably during qualification, our silver and pro drivers for their 60-minute race today at the Nürburgring. So as I was saying, being at the Nürb, like many other tracks, you either love it or hate it, I think, for these guys. It can be really technical. Really a technical track. Some of these corners I know I struggle with myself. T1 is going to be very interesting today. Exceedingly so. T1 here is much like a Monza T1, extremely sharp. Everybody's got to break it down, get very slow, and try to avoid any issues, consternation, or anything else getting through T1. And then right into that T2, it's almost immediately followed by T2. So keeping the speed down. So again, if you don't bring it down in T1 and avoid problems, those issues can continue into T2 as drivers try and accelerate up the hill and then get slowed back down for the medium left-hander. B. Fife joins us today. Welcome in, sir. Xbox been doing well. So everyone is aware, we are now connected to pit wall. Exclamation pit wall in the chat will get you live timing for today's sessions. All the races. Let's run down through it real quick. Well, now, you know what? We're going to skip on that for now because things change around too much, and I hate missing drivers with only 2.5 minutes or so left to go in this practice session today. Okay, beat though, laying down the 155s. The Pro-Am driver. Let's talk real quick about what's coming up. We know we're here for week 4 of season 5. We're at Box 3 Motorsports, but coming up next week, Olton Park. There's a typo on that poster. It is not Olton Arc. We are not loading animals 2x2. We are going to go ahead and drive at Olton Park, which is in the UK. Come back for 30 and 45-minute races on February 19th. Indianapolis and Bathurst round out the season on March 5th, February 26th, March 5th, respectively. Bathurst being quite the long race, a 60-minute for the AM and Pro-Ams and a 90-minute, hour-and-a-half race for our Pro and Silver drivers. I love covering Bathurst. But let's talk about Bathurst, because guess what, guys? I'm going to dump it into the chat so you all have it. Coming up next week, next Saturday, Bathurst, 12 hours at Mount Panorama. I cannot wait. It's going to be fantastic. However, it was going to be covered right here at Box 3 Motorsports on Twitch, but Trackalicious will be covering that for us next week. I will be taking that day off, so I just dumped it into the chat for y'all. Head over to Trackalicious's Twitch channel so you can catch up with that 12-hour race next Saturday before Season 5 continues next Sunday. 12 hours at Mount Panorama is going to be off the chain. Bob Charlton jumping back up a little nudge down. It's keeping it in those 155s here during this free practice. Just about to run out. We see it every week, though. Typically, our drivers are a little bit quicker during qualifying, so we'll see if any of these AM and Pro-Am guys can break down into the 154s today. I think they're going to struggle from what I was seeing going on in the Discord, the conversations being had by everybody. I think there'll be some struggle for our AM and Pro-Am drivers to get down into that 154 range, but we'll give them every opportunity during the qualification session coming up next. Track temperature of 17 degrees Celsius today. Start at 6 p.m. start time for the free practice. During this practice session, only 2 155 times set thus far. Bob Charlton, okay, beat with those. Edward Walsh, our first of the 156s, 156.5. 517 versus the 532 from Steven Tomazik. Josie Austin up there in the top 5 with a 156.772. Again, we typically see these times start to come down during qualifying as the drivers are able to get a few hot laps in. Steven Tomazik right now running about 4/10 up on his fastest. Tomazik gets himself up into third. Just missing out on that 155. But beating out Edward Walsh. Kenny O'Connor parking it, heading for the pits.
Green light. Go, go, go.
There we go. We are qualifying for the next 15 minutes. Again, track temperature the same. Starting now at 6:11 p.m. Sunny weather. Or sorry, cloudy weather. Why is it doing that? Weather is a bit cloudy on track. However, 17C, 15 degrees ambient. Let's take a walk down the grid here before times start coming in. Joining us today, Alex Martin, the number 94 car. Leads everything out. Kenny O'Connor returns. Justin Sacombe is back this week. Michael Kazubski. Your boy Blue is on track. Don't forget him in the Bentley. He's not the only one out there. Steven Tomazik, Bob Charlton, Josie Austin, Edward Walsh, Robert Hepburn, Frank Reynolds, the Warthog returns. Gian Cardoso back this week. Michael Zwanenberg, Burke Beat, we talked about him earlier, setting some really good lap times during the free practice. Jester Floop, Tristan Yonendijk, Steven Music, Chai Kuba, and Bruce Hopkins all back out on track. 19 drivers today. I don't see Terrell Sainz-Taylor. However, he typically shows up during qualification, so maybe he'll jump out there today. First time chat from Geisugeist? Woohoo Go Honey. I have a feeling I know who they're cheering for. The man right there, Mr. Alex Martin. Okay, sorry, TG. And I know I was told that before, I apologize. It's hard to keep up on some of these. Just like Terrell in the driver's meeting told me, it's Terrell Sainz-Taylor. I'm going to call him Terrell Sainz-Taylor at least once during this race today, and I mean more than the one time I just did. I apologize for mispronouncing names, guys. I promise you I do not do it on purpose. I try and keep up. Alex Martin out in the Lexus today, the number 94 car. Kenny O'Connor, only 5, what do we got now? No, 6 now. 6 AM drivers on track. Kenny O'Connor getting into the server first, so we'll wait and see where he ends up. Your boy Blue clocking in purple right now. Natalie in the chat, rooting for Chi out here today. There you go. Well, Natalie, I hope I'm saying that right, but if you're out here rooting for Chi, I'm going to make sure I do my best to pronounce their name correctly. Oh no, Alex's wife is in chat today watching him race. That cannot go well for Alex. We are going to have to make sure we put plenty of focus on him during the entirety of this race. Matthew Gibbons now joining the track in the pit in the purple Porsche. Now up to 20 drivers here at the Nürburgring today. Palm Tree, I do not do it on purpose. The only name I would pronounce incorrectly on purpose would be yours. So great race last week. Hey, Brands, we had a lot actually of great battles, everything. A few incidents at Brands, but not overly terrible. So I'm hoping we're going to get the same thing here this week at the Nürburgring. But again, turn 1 here, much like Monza, is one of those things you get very nervous about. We don't want to see any incidents in turn 1. But this is one of those tracks where you really look for it to possibly happen. As Justin Sacombe in with a 156.3, immediately beat out by Bob Charlton, 156.382 over the 395 of Sacombe. Josie Austin, 156.755. Palm Tree, and how could you even mispronounce my name wrong? I don't think that sentence, number 1, makes any sense whatsoever. Number 2, I'll find a way during the Pro and Silver class race today. I will find a way to mispronounce your name. Don't you worry about it, sir. But Steven Tomazik now in with a 156.015, very close to that 155 mark that we saw during free practice. That big brain Rolex livery. You see Cohn's already knocked down. It's going to be a full send today. I just feel it coming from somebody that we are going to get that full send. It's going to be scary. Burke Beat showing 0.7 up on their fastest. And showing and that little purple outline you see there around his name, that means that right now in this lap they're showing purple. You see it just flipped over to Justin Sacombe, as Justin is now 0.4 up on their fastest. So Steven Tomazik is going to have to work hard to hold on to this with a 156.015. Now Bob Charlton showing that purple lap. Burke beat Justin Sacombe, both scrubbing and going outside of track limits for theirs. There we go. Bob Charlton sets our first 155 of qual today. 6.92. Not quite as good as we saw during that free practice, so I'm sure there's going to be more. Kenny O'Connor so far sitting in the P10 with a 157.190. Only 155, only a single 155 today thus far in qualifying, and nobody showing purple to beat out Bob Charlton. Burke beat Justin Sacombe, both 4/10 up on their fastest. We'll bring that up here in just a moment, but no one's showing that they're beating out Bob Charlton quite yet. Those deltas up. Steven Tomazic now showing that purple line. Wants to take P1 back from Charlton. What's up, Wonder? How you doing, sir? Welcome in. Tomazic not able to hold on. See, now Justin Sacombe taking over the fastest lap. Oh, and actually, if you look, let's flip that back real quick, folks, because yeah, they are dead the same right now. Literally the same time for Charlton and Sacombe. But Justin Sacombe flashing that purple. We'll see. He picked up purple in sector 1. Now up 2/10 over Charlton. Go on board with Sacombe as we run downhill. Go up through the Schumacher S here in just a moment. Now for myself, a little lift through there, just as we saw him pull off. But boy, if you don't lift quite enough, or at least if I don't lift quite enough, it's not good at all. Sacombe now only 1/10 up, and Josie Austin showing purple, now dropping the Steve Tomazic and Burke beat now going purple, but Justin Sacombe. Burke beat showing a full second over as fast as Gian Cardoso jumps up in the rankings. Sacombe no longer showing that purple, but will he get ahead of Bob Charlton? No, not able to hold on to it. Burke beat scrubbing the lap and not going to set purple. Now Steven Tomazic showing 2/10 up. Justin Sacombe still battling for it, though. Stiff competition to be up here in P1 today at the Nürburgring. Let's go check on him real quick, just because his significant other is in the chat. Alex Martin now sitting just barely inside the top 10 with a 156.7. He is 3/10 up on his fastest. We'll have to wait and see if he's able to hold on to it. Maybe move himself up a little bit further. Now 5/10 up. Justin Sacombe Bob Charlton going to battle it out during the course of this race today. Alex Martin at least wanting to hold on and stay above. Now pushed down to P11, but wanting to hold on over Blue, but Blue also running 5/10 up. Blue 3/10 right there. Burke beat going for it again, 1 second faster than his fastest lap thus far today. Can he hold on to it and not scrub the lap this time? Kenny O'Connor, Bruce Hopkins in the pits looking to make some changes. Justin Secombe setting the new fastest lap, 1:55.617. But Burke beat. Now 9/10 up. Take a look against Justin Secombe right there. Well, Burke's still 9/10 up now, 8. A little bit of flux there, but Bob Charlton. So Burke's got to hold on to that 1 second, and there he has it, 1:55.307. Fastest lap we've seen today, not just in this qualifying session, but also in the free practice. Now the question becomes is, can Bob Charlton bring it back up there? He's right on, teetering on that edge. 3/10, he needs a little more than 3/10. Every time he drops back to 3/10, we see it slide away from him. That purple ring goes away. Right now, Burke beat holding on to that top time, 3/10 over Justin Secombe. Secombe beating out Bob Charlton by about 8/100ths of a second. Gaz in the chat, unable to race with us today, unfortunately. But good to see you can make it to the chat, sir. Welcome in. So Burke now into the pits, holding on to P1 thus far. Bob Charlton, Justin Secombe, both up 2/10 on their fastest. Secombe setting his at a 1:55.435. Charlton's gonna have to get a little more than those 2/10, and it doesn't look like it's happening this time. He stays in third. Meanwhile, Gian Cardoso got himself up into fourth so far. Kenny O'Connor, our fastest AM-class driver today, currently in the pits. Tomazic right now in fifth, but riding up 4/10. So now just 30 seconds left to go, and we'll be ready for 45 minutes of racing here at the Nürburgring for our AM and Pro-Am drivers. And again, folks, stick around after the race today. Stick around because Pro and Silver class comes up right after this for 1 hour of racing. And don't forget pit wall right there, exclamation pit wall in the chat will get you to live timing for this race. Bob Charlton showing purple. Could he get right here at the end, pulled the pole position away from Burke Beat? Back on board with Charlton. He's still flashing purple at us. He could right here at the end. Qualification over for him once he finishes this lap. We may see a new race leader right here at the end. Welcome in, Felina. Glad to have you here. And there it is. Bob Charlton takes pole position, 1:55.215 away from Burke Beat. And Justin Secombe going to get bumped to row 2 with that run. We wait for just a few drivers to finish up here today. Go Beatbox, let's go. Birthday Beat fan. And then we got all kinds of fans for these drivers in our chat today. I think that is fantastic. And that's a wall for Josie Austin. They finish out. Jester Floomp still out on track here for qualification. Tristan Jonendijk and Chikuba out there. Jester Floomp decides, I'm done. Not able to finish out that lap. Tristan Jonendijk, one of our typically a little bit faster driver here, qualifying in 18th with a 158.3. Maybe the Nurb not quite his track. We will see how his race goes today. We get ready for things to kick off here. I want to welcome all of our first-time chatters in. I want to welcome everybody who's followed the channel recently, because we don't do anything here like alerts or sounds that go off or anything, because we put the focus on the race. But I do want to thank everyone who's in here watching, who has enjoyed, who's taken time from their Sunday, their Super Bowl Sunday, to come in here and watch today. You are very much appreciated. If I can find where my mouse is sitting. Qualification ends. We are all set to move to this race. Row 1 today will be Bob Charlton clinching pole position right there at the end with that 155.215 that we saw come through. Berkey will share row 1 with him. Justin Sacombe and Steven Tomazic in row 2. Gian Cardoso, Edward Walsh, row 3. Josie Austin, Kenny O'Connor in row 4. Your boy Blue, Alex Martin, much to the surprise of everyone and much to the joy of his wife, made it into the top 10 to start this race. He's going to share row 5 with your boy Blue. Robert Hepburn, Bruce Hopkins, row 6. Jester Floomp, Michael Zwanenberg in row 7. Steven Music, Michael Kazubski, row 8. Frank Reynolds, the Warthog, and Tristan Jonendijk, row 9. And row 10, Chikuba and Matthew Givens will round it out as we wait for the start of today's race. Again, I want to remind everyone, I'm going to put it back in the chat, but coming up next Saturday, 12 hours at Mount Panorama. You were going to watch it here. This is the finale of the GT3 Endurance Series in conjunction with Trackalicious, Box3 Motorsports, and 949 Sim Racing. You were going to watch it right here at Box3 Motorsports, but Trackalicious is going to cover this one. So the link's in the chat. Be sure and go over there and give them a follow so you get notified when that 12 hours of Bathurst kicks off next Saturday at 1 p.m. UTC. Also, we are back next Sunday for racing at Alton Park. February 19th kickoff, same time, same channel, 30-minute and 45-minute races for our AM and Pro-Am and our Pro and Silver races, respectively. So make sure you come back for that. And we are on the grid, ready to kick things off for 45 minutes here at the Nürburgring. Now, a little bit different than the previous races you've watched this season. Those 30-minute races and 45-minute races for the Pro and Silver drivers always had a pit window, right? Halfway through the race, we open a 10-minute pit window that allows them to go and change it. Tires and fuel are mandatory, but there's only a 10-minute pit window when they can do that and have it count. There is no window today. Tires and fuel are still mandatory, but there will be no window for today's race. And there you have it. We are lined up and ready to go. Really fun to watch qualifying when we see these things change right at the end of the race. Bob Charlton on his last lap able to claim pole position and that inside line and down into T1 today. Now you guys, we're going to stay focused for the warm-up lap here, and we probably didn't focus on it during the qualifying with any one driver, but you're going to see what I'm talking about as we do the warm-up lap down into T1. It's a long straight. It's a long straight, so high speed. Now luckily on the first lap, you know, the start-finish line, these guys are going to get the green here, not out of the corner, coming onto the start-finish straight. But still, there's going to be a lot of speed carried downhill into T1, and it's a very tight corner. Now, this is not Monza tight. It's pretty close to Monza tight. Monza's a chicane. This isn't. This is a straight corner, but boy, is it a tight one. And so we're going to have to watch during the start of this race to make sure that we do not have any shenanigans. I really hope we don't. Specifically, these AM and Pro-Am drivers, for the last, I'll say for the last 2 seasons, season 4, maybe even before that, but I'm, you know, old, my memory goes. Definitely through season 4 and so far through season 5 have been very, very clean, have been fantastic in the way they've driven and the way they've managed this. But you see what I'm talking about here. You have to come out very wide, very tight corner into T1. As you come back uphill, you are immediately into T2, which is a little bit faster corner, but still not real fast. You're still downshifting through this. And again, immediately into T3, then into T4. So, as I said at the start of this broadcast, very technical track, particularly in this section through the Schumacher S's. This one, along with Monza, I think generates the most trepidation at the start of a race from most of the tracks that we run on here at Box 3 Motorsports. I want to say, and there we are, killing cones already. Fantastic. I would say Nürburgring, second only to Monza, brings in, and maybe Imola, brings up the most trepidation going into T1. And we will see how it goes today for these guys. Good luck is right. Racer X, thank you. Red Rider, good to see you in the chat, sir. Hope your trip was wonderful, and I think you're at home at this point, but if you're not, safe travels when you do come back. And if you are home, welcome home, sir. Here in the US, it might be Super Bowl Sunday, but here at Box 3 Motorsports, it is Super Race Sunday, and we have it every week. You don't have to just get it once a year. I'm going to say it again, go Birds. You're going to hear go Birds several times throughout this broadcast. Time's very tight during qualifying for this group up front. Bob Charlton, Burke AB, Justin Sacombe, and Steven Tomazic. Really great qual times. And we'll see how tight they keep it as we get this race started. You know, I know it's a bit pedantic, but Moz says it in the chat, and girls, he's not wrong. We got a ton of great folks in this league. Charlton needs to slow it down or he's going to pull that penalty, guaranteed. We saw it happen to Delilah Hazel 2 weeks ago. Maybe it was last week. But Charlton really needs to bring it down. He may be within the speed limit of the double file coming up to the start-finish line, but man, if you're out of position, we watched Delilah Hazel pull a penalty a week or two ago. I hate to see that happen again. Car's now in double file. We're going to head down into T1 here in just a moment as the lights go green for 45 minutes of racing. And we are green. Let's hit it at the Nürburgring. Thank you for joining me today as we head down the hill into T1 for the first time. Justin Sacombe taking advantage over Steven Tomazic. As things start to stack up, we see a little bit there, right? You see people goosing through. Just barely holding on, but so far so good. It is clean as Frank Reynolds makes it through. Nice and clean. And the driver off the track, who is the yellow flag? We got contact between Kenny O'Connor and Josie Austin. O'Connor dropping down the ranks now, as Steven Tomazic is able to pick up position and move into P5. Bob Charlton leads it out after that start with Justin Sacombe right there. Matthew Givens with contact now as Tristan Jonendijk slides to the bottom of our standings. Bob Charlton not gonna. I don't think Charlton's gonna have an easy race today. Again, these times during qual were very tight. We saw equal times from Charlton and Sacombe at one point. Sacombe dipping a tire into the dirt. But a great start to this race. A few minor bumps and scrapes, but overall a great start here at the Nürb today. Edward Walsh now leading a group 2. Stephen Tomazic right there. Gian Cardoso. He's getting tight up front of Secombe within 2/10. Burke beat tightening up on these two. The battle might hang out at the front today, ladies and gentlemen. We shall see. For long laps like this in a 45-minute race, I would think we're going to see some spread out at some point. And again, with no pit window. And right there, Secombe having to cut to the outside to avoid contact with Bob Charlton. Just barely avoiding that incident. Wow. As Secombe takes over now, Charlton backing off and going to be under pressure from Burke beat. Stephen Tomazic back up into P5 after taking Gian Cardoso. You saw that move there from Justin Secombe to avoid that contact at any cost. Stephen Tomazic getting ahead of Gian Cardoso. Oh, and penalty right there. The number 420 car. Michael Zwanenberg pulling a penalty off the jump and clearing that out early. So now Secombe able to stretch out a little bit. You see the gap opening up there, but now Charlton going to have to deal with Burke beat. Secombe able to make a great recovery off that near miss in turn 1 on lap 2. And it looked like we just saw the same thing from Beat. He had to swing out wide to avoid Charlton. You got to wonder now, how much of that is a play on Charlton's part? I'm going to suck you in. I'm going to let you get close. And then, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to brake a little early, which for you to avoid contact means you're going to have to either be aware of that, which you can't till you see the brake lights, right? Or you're going to have to swing out wide and maybe back off me a little bit. I wouldn't call it a brake check, but certainly a strategy to get someone who's pulled themselves up tight onto your wing to maybe think about what they're doing. Bob Charlton now, and then immediately taken by Edward Walsh. And Burke beat Edward Walsh, setting the fastest lap right now, 156.917. Jump back, Josie Austin coming under a little bit of pressure from Robert Hepburn now. Close the games, welcome in. Thank you so much for being here and chat with. What broadcast software do I use? We use ACC TV. For the overlay and for camera control is a program called ACC TV. Whoa, and we got massive contact up front. Hold on, let's go back here. Hold up, back up. Burke beat Bob Charlton and Stephen Tomazic, all showing contact. Wow. Things just got twisted up a lot in this race as Josie Austin, Robert Hepburn need to slow down. Wow, positions. Gian Cardoso got tangled up in this, had to go out wide. Not showing contact, but losing a ton of position as they come through the kitty litter out in the side. Justin Secombe now with a 3.4 second gap over Edward Walsh. That's only going to expand at this point. Wow. Massive pile up there on lap 3, or lap 2 of this race. Twisting things way up. Not sure. Maybe we have to go back and look and try and figure out exactly where that happened during a replay if we have time before the pro and silver race. But yeah, sorry, Corza Games, I had to jump in there real quick. But yeah, it's called ACC TV. If you give me a second, I'll even drop you a link in the chat. So you have it, because I know a lot of people broadcast races. They want to you know, have something like this. So I will see if I can find it for you. Just a massive pile up there. That is just horrible. There you go, Koza Games. Just so you have that. I want to make sure I share that with people. The developer's really responsive. It's great software to use. Now Alex Martin getting, with that whole incident twisting things up, we find Alex Martin in P7, but Chester Fluke, Bruce Hopkins, Steve Tomazik, all right there. Tomazik up in the top 5 before that incident happened. And so now going to apply that pressure. Alex Martin's going to have to hold all 3 of these guys at bay to hold on to this P7. Bob Charlton now all the way back in P19 after all of that. Wow. Like I said, we're definitely going to have replays of that during this week's recovery drive. Hopefully, recovery drive happens this week. And I do apologize to folks that enjoy watching it. Recovery drive has not happened for the last 2 weeks. That's our midweek show, Thursday nights, where we review the previous race. We talk about the upcoming race with a few of the drivers. Has not happened for the last 2 weeks due to scheduling conflicts on my part. I do apologize for that. Now Jester Floop holding everybody up behind Alex Martin. Martin able to open a gap there. And starting to come up on the back end of your boy Blue, so we'll watch for that. Now Steven Music with pressure from Matthew Givens, Kenny O'Connor. Tactical, I apologize for that, man. I wish I could help with that. Unfortunately, which is Twitch. Whoa, and we are getting deep here. 3 wide and going crazy. Look at everybody playing here between Kenny O'Connor. Wow, Steven Music, Matthew Gibbons, and Gian Cardoso have all decided to stack up right here. Stefan Music coming out on top so far, but Kenny O'Connor sliding back and off into the grass. Sound sync, you know what? I do not have a problem with that, honestly. I don't. Stefan Music and Gian Cardoso battling it out for P11 right now. Jester Fluke, we're keeping an eye up there because he still has Bruce Hopkins, Steven Tomazik on his back end. The top 10 have settled down a little bit, except for 8 through 10. Cardoso nosing out ahead of Music. Ooh, and maybe a nudge right there, right? Look like a nudge. Tactical, I think you're right. Everybody's racing like it's a sprint race right now, and there's still 35 minutes to go. Check in with Bruce Hopkins, though. Steven Tomazik right there. Oh, Terrell in the chat. Okay. Terrell, you didn't make the race. You told me I had to pronounce your name right, then you didn't make the race. Come on, man. Killing me, Smalls. But yeah, you know, folks, here's the thing with the channel. I hate anybody not being able to see these races because of ads. Unfortunately, there's only so much control we have. The only thing I can do is run an ad block before the race starts, say like during qualifying. And I hate doing that because I don't want you to have to watch ads, and I don't want people leaving because they think of an ad. Whoa, more mess up here. Tomazik and Hopkins come together. Now Floop right there. Tomazik giving the position back, dropping in, ends up dropping 2 behind Hopkins and Floop. Let's catch up with Hopkins now. Jester Floop's going to look to make a move up the inside. Picking the outside line into this one. Not quite enough. Gotcha, okay. Gotcha, so entry list issues. Okay, not a problem. See that wide run from Jester Floop now out into the dirt, and that allows Tomazik to pick back up a position into P9. They are definitely racing hard today. Justin Sacombe up front. opening that lead up to 5 seconds over Edward Walsh. Now, he does have Sacombe, meaning when I say he, Sacombe does have the fastest lap today, 155.702. The only 155 during the course of this race today. Keeping an eye on, and now we have contact between Frank Reynolds and Bob Charlton, it looks like. Both drivers off into the sand. Back it up. It's going to be a long one at 30 seconds, but I'd like to see what happened here. There you see Frank Reynolds on your screen. Spins, and right there, Charlton hitting him. Giving him a little bump on the way through, so that was that contact. Good up front, though, Josie Austin under pressure from Burkay Beat as this replay runs out. We'll jump back up here. But Beat making a play for P3. Yeah, guys, Whelpcakes is traveling today, Phil. Phil is on the road today. He's traveling to see family this weekend. To wish him the best of travels. Make sure he's safe while he's out there. But he should be back next Sunday for our race at Oulton Park. As I said earlier, you guys are going to have to deal with me today. And now Alex Martin tightening up on the back end of your boy Blue. Those last laps together. Blue just a tad faster than Alex, but Alex has been closing this gap. Track temp now down to 15C. Bob Charlton making a move, getting around Chikuba, and Kenny O'Connor back there for P16. So Charlton back up into P16 after dropping all the way to 19th. Comes at getting ahead now of Bruce Hopkins. A lot of flipping around today. Chikuba and Kenny O'Connor going to go to battle. Just like that, around the inside of the corner, Gian Cardoso is able to take out Jester Flume. Back it up real quick and watch. He's able to get the inside line. At about a 0.2 second gap between them, and just that quickly makes the flip. Stephen Music, Matthew Givens. Music in that 4.56. This is a battle for in-class position. So one massive incident up front today. The rest very minor, what we've seen so far, which I consider great for a Nürburgring race. With that T1 against that very technical track, it's the corners are, some of them slightly, and Kazubski, we saw Givens dip off into the dirt there, giving Kazubski an opportunity to move up into P13. These corners being slightly, some of them slightly unnatural, I would call it, right? They're just not quite always feeling exactly right. So it's very hard to be consistent. And we see that taking an impact today on these drivers here at the Nürburgring. Still 29 minutes left to go. A lot of race left for as hard as they're driving. Now, it'll be curious to see when we jump over to the Pro and Silver race. Those drivers with a 60-minute race today should not be driving as if it is a sprint race. This is not a 30-minute race for these guys, right? But will they drive just as hard here? It seems like the Nürb just brings something out in people. And that's why I really wish ACC, and I know they never will. I get why. It's not an SRO race. I understand. I really wish we could cover a Nordschleife with these guys, with in ACC. It would be fantastic. Josie Austin now under pressure from Burkay Beat for P3. Josie looking for that podium today. Edward Walsh got to be very happy. Let's take a quick look here as we watch this battle play out. Let's just look at the position delta that we've seen so far today. Both Edward Walsh and Josie Austin got to be very happy with what's going on. 4 spots up. Robert Hepburn, same thing, up 6 today on the day. Bob Charlton and Kenny O'Connor probably not feeling quite as good, having dropped 14 and 10 positions respectively. And even for Mrs. Martin, Alex up 3 spots. Let's go. Your boy Blue up 3 spots. They've been working together to get through traffic during the course of this race. Right now, the focus is Josie Austin and Burke B. You know what, Terrell, you're not wrong. I think it is. I think anytime you are within,
Pit window is opening.
let's call it, oh, apparently there is a pit window today, because now the pit window just opened. And I do hope our drivers heard that, as Burke B heads into the pits right there. He's going to be the first one with the undercut. I think you're right, Terrell. I think when you're in close proximity, when you are, what do I want to say? When you're fighting for position, right? I think it is difficult to, hold on. Just real quick, I'm going to do this. And I shouldn't do this, but I'm going to do this. I'm going to try and let drivers know, because again, there was not to be a pit window today. There is. Oh, I'm going to use, if that worked, I just used the in-game chat, so. I don't know if drivers can see that or not. I wanted to make sure that they could. You're right. She did. So we'll throw that up. Hey, look, it sends the messages right there. That's awesome. I wonder if the drivers see it. Probably not. All right. I did not realize that that would do that. That is all through pit wall. Again, exclamation pit wall in the chat if you'd like to watch live timing today. And I know some of the drivers do watch the stream while they're driving, so hopefully they are paying attention and getting their pit stops done. Josie Austin leading out now. Robert Hepburn dropped a little bit back. Let's check in on Bruce Hopkins. Gian Cardoso still battling as Frank Reynolds moves up to P15 with Chi Kuba dropping very quickly. Chi parked off into the kitty litter as Edward Walsh heads into the pits. Josie Austin going to take up P2. Robert Hepburn P3. Your boy Blue into the pits. Alex Martin into the pits. With Tomzik now taking up P5. And actually, I don't know if I can tell anybody, if it would do any good to tell anybody on the Discord or not. Hopefully these guys figure it out. It does look like a lot of the drivers got the message, though. We see a lot of pit stops happening. And it did happen kind of on time with a 45-minute race. So it looks like folks are getting the message. Matthew Gibbons, Michael Kaczubski coming together on track now. As you see drivers starting to clear those pit stops. Givens out there in the purple Porsche. Gotta love to see it. Bruce Hopkins. Jester Floop and driver sitting in the top 10 right now due to pit stops. As Michael Zwanenberg and Chi Kuba stay out. Both now into the pits. We'll be clearing those. The top 11 now, still yet to finish that pit stop for today. Coffin, it's not though. It's not. Although it's funny, I actually, Coffin, I thought about you and Zap yesterday. I was in my kitchen, and every year my parents, I don't know why, I guess they feel I need it, but my parents get me a subscription at Christmas for Consumer Reports. And obviously not necessarily the 911, not necessarily, they weren't even talking about a specific model of car, but overall, driver satisfaction, #1 rated according to Consumer Reports here in the US, was Porsche. And it made me think of both of you. So, just so you know, you guys, you and Zap were on my mind. Josie Austin holding on to P2 right now with Robert Hepburn right there. Cardoso, Kazubski, and Matt Givens all into the pits. Gonna clear that stop. And the thing is, Terrell, I didn't even want to say anything because I'm like, because the thought in my head when I thought about Zap and I thought about Retro was, I can never tell them this because they will become even more insufferable about the Porsche than they already are. And I still had to say something today. So what are you gonna do? Robert Hepburn applying pressure right here to Josie Austin. Hopefully both of these, again, hopefully all the drivers, we see as Kazubski and Givens both head into the pits. Hopefully our top 8 here have seen that warning about the pit window and are going to get in there and get that cleared up. Oh, and somebody decided, was that Hepburn? That was Hepburn, decided to take the curb and ended up staying out. Wow. Looking to follow Josie into the pits, and it just did not work out quite the way he thought it was going to. That was awesome. Nice jump, Robert. Hopefully that makes the Epic Air channel on the Discord. As Josie Austin heads into the pits now, Bruce Hopkins heading in as well. I think we're outside the replay. I think we're outside the replay window, so. I got you, Wonder. Don't you worry about it. Hopefully it's not too bad, man, and you're able to race today. $20 minutes, 30 seconds left to go in today's race. Austin, Hopkins, O'Connor all into the pits. Justin Sacombe staying out. I'm going to hate to see. Now, here's the thing, though. Box3 Motorsports, for all of you watching who maybe don't know, Box3 Motorsports is a very fair league. The drivers were told, I was in the drivers meeting, the drivers were told at the beginning of this race, or before this race, there was no pit window. So I can tell you this, if a driver makes a pit stop, but misses the pit window, we're going to figure it out, right? Positions are going to be given back. They're not going to get disqualified. We'll erase the disqualification, whatever we have to do to make sure, you know, and again, the drivers are being responsible getting into the pits. You see Justin Sacombe heading in now, Kenny O'Connor heading into the pits. But we're a very fair league. You know, I think server errors happen. Server errors happen there. Robert Hepburn now heading in. Server errors do happen. We never blame the drivers for those errors at Box3. Just under 20 minutes left to go with these final pit stops running right now. I'm going to set things up on autopilot. I'm going to take a quick step away from you fine folks watching today. Stick with us though, because again, don't forget, we got another race coming up. Our pro and silver class drivers will be running for 60 minutes after this as Bob Charlton takes up P15 over Kazubski. I looked away from the screen at the same time and got Chi and Kazubski mixed up in my head. Well, and that's what I'm saying, KB. You know, if it's a 2-minute penalty, we're going to remove those, and the race will be determined by times. We'll have to remove those if that's what has to happen. But looking at it, all the drivers are making it into the pit window. Our top 5 now into the pits. So it looks like everyone will have cleared their stop. I know they weren't expecting a pit window, but I appreciate the drivers respecting it when they hear that message so that they're aware, or I should say so that we don't have to worry about that at the end. I don't think anybody wanted to have to use a pit window. I'm sure some of these drivers that screwed up their strategy to undercut or overcut. We didn't see really any undercuts before the window opened, which is a good thing, right? People didn't stop before the window because they would have been very upset then. But I'm sure it could have screwed up some strategy for people for overcuts. But overall, I don't know that it's going to impact as long as all the drivers get in there. So Jester Flump and Frank Reynolds, the last 2 to clear. Justin Sacombe takes up P1 again. Now 12 seconds ahead of Edward Walsh. Edward Walsh. Maybe Robert Hepburn and Burke Beat going to catch Walsh running his last lap. Or his best lap, though, 155.9. His last was a 156.5, so about 0.6 off. If we look at Burke Beat a little bit faster here. Again, exclamation pit wall in the chat will get you to where you can see the live timing for this and get average lap times. But Beat may be able to close this gap up a little bit in the next 17 minutes. And as I said, with that, I'm going to take a quick step away. I'll be right back with you folks in just a moment. Stick around. We'll finish out this race and get over to Pearl and Silver immediately following. As we see now a battle for P3. Robert Hepburn holding on over Burke. Again, I said Burke had that pace. We'll see if he's able to clear Hepburn before the end of this. Another 13 and a half minutes left to go. Also starting to come together, Michael Zwanenberg and Frank Reynolds back for P17. Burke setting our fastest lap, 1:55.440. The new fastest. Diesel, make sure you report it, please, okay? Do make sure you report it. Keep in mind, folks, if you're unable to watch both races today and you'd like to see them, make sure you head over to our YouTube channel for Box3 Motorsports. We always post the races afterwards. I'll put that link in the chat for you here in just a moment. All races are published to YouTube. Usually by Monday. No edits, no nothing. They just get thrown up there for you. Michael Kazubski and Kenny O'Connor now in a battle for P15. Kenny O'Connor pulling up tight on the back of that O'Toole's number 216. Oh, and Bob Charlton getting around Stephen Music on the start-finish straight. Very quick come together. Justin Secombe now leading by 14 seconds over Edward Walsh. Great race for Secombe. Did not get wrapped up in that front accident we saw on lap 2 during the start of this race that scooped up Charlton, O'Connor, several others. And it has worked to his advantage ever since. Ricky Beat now in 4th. Bruce Hopkins dropping 2 spots to Alex Martin and your boy Blue. As Matthew Gibbons and Kenny O'Connor look to fight out P14 now. Purple Porsche able to hold the line, though. Gibbons making that Porsche very wide, not giving O'Connor any opportunity whatsoever. Gibbons in that 555 Porsche. O'Connor just struggling to find a space. Gibbons up 6 spots on the day, though, having a great race. Robert Hepburn just snuck up on us. Let's go back. Oh, man. My stuff's not doing right. Go back, see if we can catch the pass right there. Robert Hepburn. I'm sorry, Ed Walsh getting around Robert Hepburn to take up P2 just that quick. And now opening the gap very fast. Give me just a few minutes, KB, and we will bring that up. I always like to bring that up closer to the end of the race. Kenny O'Connor getting back around Matthew Gibbons. That purple Porsche, not that wide forever. Retro. Now I'm disappointed in you and Zap. So quite the race today here in Am and Pro-Am classes with Bob Charlton, again, Kenny O'Connor, several others getting scooped up in a lap 2 incident. Justin Sacombe able to get clear and just run away with this. Edward Walsh doing very well for himself. Just to give you an idea, though, before I throw it up on the screen, KB, Justin Sacombe up 2 spots today, Edward Walsh up 4th. Robert Hepburn, Robert Hepburn right now, if he can hold on, having a great race, up 8 positions from 11th up to P3, going to claim a podium if he can hold on through the end of this race. He's not jinxed. Josie Austin now catching up on the back end of Robert Hepburn. I did jinx him. You're right. Commentator's curse. My fault, Gaz. Every time. Spread out a little bit now. Ricky beat with opportunity here if he can catch Edward Walsh. Edward with the slower lap times for the last and best, but only 6 minutes left to go in this first race of the day. Edward Walsh up 4 spots. Let's take a look at it now that things have calmed down a little bit. That position delta. Again, Justin Sacombe up 2, Walsh up 4. Burke beat down 1. But Robert Hepburn still up 7 spots on the day with Josie Austin claiming 2. Hepburn definitely the winner today. Unable to hold on to podium with Burke getting around. But still 7 spots. Can't beat it. Folks want an onboard view with your boy Blue. Let's take a look at this battle. Josie Austin holding off Steven Tomazik first. We'll see where this goes, and then we will jump on board with Blue before the end of this race. There he is in the Bentley. Like a madman. Your boy Blue, let's go on board with him right now. See if we can stick with him throughout the course of this upcoming lap. We will pull away as battles start to happen. With your boy Blue right now. Josie Austin still holding off Steven Tomazik. I'll keep an eye on that gap right there. See if Tomaszek can get himself into a top 5 finish today. Long lap of Blue. Why would anyone want to watch Blue drive? First of all, he's on the wrong side of the car, so this makes no sense whatsoever. Tomaszek still closing in, keeps tightening up. Josie Austin holding on though in that 137. Let's go back here. Steven Music getting bumped out by Kenny O'Connor. But let's check in with Josie Austin and Steven Tomaszek after that onboard with Blue. We want to see him bin it. Well, stick around long enough. Just over 2 minutes left to go here in this first of 2 races today. Thank you everybody again so much for being here. I do appreciate each and every one of you joining me for this race. You guys in the chat keep it fun when I'm all by myself. I don't have Mr. Milby here to go back and forth with. Great battles today. Some very bad incidents. Diesel TTV in the chat we saw ended up dropping from the race after damage due to a punt. Oh, Robert Hepburn. Wow, Robert Hepburn having all kinds of struggles now. Back up, see if we can catch it right there. Throws the Porsche into the curb, and the Porsche does Porsche things as it is wont to do.
Right, man. Leader is on the final lap. Give it all you can.
Justin Sacombe now on the final lap of this race. Unfortunately for Robert Hepburn, unable to hold on, but we have a battle here at the end. Edward Walsh and Burke Beat coming together on the final lap. Josie Austin holding on to P4 right now. Two close battles as Tomaszek keeps closing in on the back end of Josie Austin, so we'll keep an eye there through the end of this. But right now, Edward Walsh fighting to hold on to P2. As we clear back markers, we tighten up one more time. I do wonder how much temperature and tires played into this for drivers today, with temps dropping now to 14 degrees C on track. Justin Sacombe, your winner at the Nürburgring. Edward Walsh holding on for P2, but is it going to be enough? Burke Beat right there behind him. And he will. Walsh holds on for P2. Burke Beat P3. Let's get back to Josie Austin. Austin making that car as wide as possible as Tomaszek comes in right behind for a top 5 finish. Gian Cardoso, P6. Robert Hepburn, P7. There he is, your boy Blue. Comes across the line. Blue getting a top 10 finish today in P8. Alex Martin finishing in 9th. Bruce Hopkins, E10. And that is your top 10 for the AM and Pro-Am race today. Bruce Hopkins, the only AM driver sneaking into the top 10, beating out Jester Flump for the class win. Kenny O'Connor, P3 in the AM class. A great racing today from these folks. Let's jump over here. We are going to move on, of course, to the Pro and Silver class race. We get things set up, ready to go here. And everybody knows it is Super Bowl Sunday here in the United States. Go Birds! And as I'm talking to you fine folks, I'm also getting hit up for channel pixelation issues. All kinds of things from work because I have to work today. It's the literally the busiest day of the year. Terrell knows. Terrell knows. Go Birds. Frank knows. Frank Reynolds knows. Go Birds. What are we doing? That's what we're doing. Driving me nuts. I think Diesel got hammered, and so that's gonna screw with anybody's race, right? So, but we are already into our qualifying session. With only about 9 minutes left to go here for our Pro and Silver class drivers today. We get things flipped around, software set, everything ready to go. Again, folks, thank you so much for sticking with me through this. It is an absolute blast. I have so much fun covering these races, you guys. You have no idea. Let's get over to it, though. Take a look. We have a total of 24 drivers on track today for Pro and Silver class racing. You see Jake Wells out there so far with a 153.7, leading this qual at this point. Let's get our... Oh, not our personal best Delta. Our personal best up there so you guys can see their race times. And with that, again, I am going to take another quick step away during the course of qualification here. I'll be back before the end of qual, though. We'll start looking at some stuff as Jake Wells is looking to throw another purple lap down. Oh, and then goes into the pits. That's a shame. He was showing purple on that lap. Tom Foose coming back out. Mike Burkhoff back in the pits right now. Rick Pixel. These drivers in making adjustments. Charlie Tooth is currently sitting P9 with a 154.682. Mr. Charlie Tooth from Australia, one of our favorite drivers in number 46 out there today. A Box 3 Motorsports original. Been around for a lot of seasons here, and just generally a great guy. Everybody, I will be right back. Please enjoy a little bit of qualifying. Just over 7 minutes left to go. We'll be back before then to talk about qual and see where everybody sits. Stand by. So far, folks, sitting here today, Jake Wells running hard with a 153.7, but we only 2 153s. Tom Foose with a lot of practice, I think, this week in conversations on the Discord server with a 153.8. Now we fall outside of that into the 154 range with one Wyardi Rumbouts. Anthony Anderson up in the top 5 today, and Mike Burkhoff, same thing. So the 154s all sitting very good. Tobias Gable, interesting for Tobias Gable, showing a 255. I know on your screen it's showing a 255.5 is his best. However, his last lap was a 155.8, so I don't know why that 255 is sticking right there as we see Tom Foose takes over the pole position with 2 minutes and 20 seconds left to go in qualifying. 153.6. I don't know why Gable is showing a 255 as his fastest. It is not a 255. It's actually a 154.9 now. Justin Van Weiser in the 154 range. As Burkhoff heads into the pits, Tobias Gable heading into the pits. Paul Morris in the 154. So the 154 is stretching all the way down to P13. We're going to see a ton of close racing in the mid-pack, I think, during this Pro and Silver class race today. Tom Foose showing a 10th up so far for this lap, and another purple for him. Looking to extend that lead. Alex in our chat now as Tom Foose comes to a stop, setting that new lap, 153.632. Everybody coming to a stop on me in the middle of the track. Wyardi Rumbouts sitting in third with a 154.105 as our qualifying session comes to an end. Alex now in the chat, joined by hopefully Mrs. Alex. So I want to know though, and I don't want to see you type it, Alex. I want to know if Mrs. Alex was impressed during, and I wish I knew her name. I would call her by her name, but I don't know it, so I'm going to call her Mrs. Alex, Mrs. Martin. I would love to know her thoughts on your performance during the course of today's AM and Pro-Am race at Nürburgring. Tom Foose staying out for one more and getting a little bit further up, still showing a 10th up. Shut up. You're lying. Alex, you're lying. There's no way you found somebody to marry you when your name is Alex and her name is Alexa, which is just the female version of Alex. There's no way. It's not even possible. You're making that up. It's true. This is what I love about Box 3, guys. We are a community first, Sim Racers second. Respect on the track. Respect in our interactions on Discord. Mad respect to Mrs. Martin, to Alexa Martin, for joining us today to cheer on her husband. That is fantastic. As our qualifying session comes to an end, Tom Foose, not giving up, wants to set a new fastest lap, while everyone else but him and Rumbouts sit in the pits. A few others still out on track. Lewis Ricard, Aguilar, Isar. No other drivers showing a faster lap thus far. Even Tom now scrubbing out on that last lap and not going to set anything faster today. There you have it. Our session comes to an end with Tom Foose, your pole sitter, for the start of today's 60-minute race of pro and silver class driving. You know, this week, very different, I would say, than last week at Brands Hatch. Brands Hatch in the rain. We had Pro-Am drivers setting lap times fast, similar, if not faster, than our pro and silver drivers. This week, you see the difference, that 153 versus the 155s that we were seeing in the Am and Pro-Am race during their qualification today. So a big difference in the dry compared to that wet racing that we had last week at Brands Hatch. But Tom Foose is going to lead the way, sharing row 1 with Jake Wells. Rumbouts, Anthony Anderson in row 2. Kevin Rivera, Mike Burkhoff, row 3. Rick Pixel, Tobias Gable, row 4. Paul Morris, Justin Van Weiser. Round out your top 10 for the start of this race today. Row 6. Glendenning, Charlie Tooth, the Australian, going to share row 6. Jarrett Skinner, Nikolai Tsiabuk, row 7. Louis Ricard, Alejandro Aguilar, row 8. Brandon Walrath, Igor Kornikov, row 9, with Rob Kesar and Jason Woolworth, row 10. Adam Willey, Matt Comiskey, row 11, and Ridian Lloyd Davis and Nick Paquin, row 12. So 24 drivers on track today. Great turnout for this race. Again, folks, don't forget. I know you guys probably you already see ads on the channel, and then you're probably like, "What is he doing?" Guys, don't forget, next Saturday, 12 hours at Mount Panorama coming up. That you can view that over at Trackalicious and their Twitch channel. They are going to cover the entirety of that race. Next Saturday, starting at 1 p.m. UTC. Check for your local time zone. And Season 5 continues at Olton Park on February 19th. Same time, 2 p.m. Eastern or 6 p.m. UTC for 30 and 45-minute races, respectively, at Olton Park. And then we are on to Indianapolis and finish up the season at Mount Panorama for a 60 and 90-minute race. Cannot wait. Those are going to be absolutely a blast. And hopefully, returning this week, Recovery Drive Thursdays, our midweek show where we talk to some of the drivers about the previous race. We're going to talk about the Nürburgring race this week on Thursday. We'll also talk about the upcoming race at Olton Park, rig roast and review, all kinds of fun stuff that we do on Thursday evenings. We have missed the last 2 weeks. That's been my fault due to scheduling conflicts, but we will hopefully be back for this Thursday without issue as we get ready for the start of this 60-minute race at the Nürburgring.
Seconds. 20 seconds. 10 seconds.
5, Head for our outlap. Tom Foose leading the way. Jake Wells will join him in row 1 as we hit the double foul. Wyardi Rumbouts. Anthony Anderson in row 2. Anderson, be curious to see how Anderson does today. I'm not sure that this is one of his favorite tracks, but qualifying quite high compared to the earlier races in the season. We'll see if Anderson can hold his own during the course of this 60-minute race. And several silver drivers, Kevin Rivera, Mike Burkhoff, and Rick Pixel, qualifying in the top 10 ahead of Tobias Gable, Paul Morris, Van Weiser, Charlie Tooth, Jared Skinner, Alejandro Aguilar. Temperature's a little higher than what we saw during the Am and Pro-Am race. Track temperature of 21°C versus the 15 towards the end of the first race today. I think we had a starting temp of 17°C, so maybe tires going to play a little bit different during the course of this race with slightly higher temperatures. Nothing boiling, of course. 21°C not that hot, but still is going to certainly play a factor in what we see go down here today. Drivers will now start heading into double file. We see the same thing here that we saw during the first race. Hopefully our front row here, Tom Foose, Jake Wells, going to allow these drivers, and it looks like they are going to allow them to catch up. We saw Delilah Hazel show a penalty a week or two ago. Yes, T1 only happens once per race. Can we stop asking people to send it into T1 at the Nürburgring in chat? I already feel bad because I commentated cursed Hepburn during the last race. We do not need that nonsense during race 2.
Green light, go, go, go.
And we are off to the races. 60 minutes have started. Let's get down into T1 at the Nürburgring. Look at the front of this pack. Gonna send it 2x2 into T1. Oh, and a diver off the grass, and that's not good at all. Wow. Where is the contact? My goodness, that was horrid. I don't even know who to focus on because of that. You see the yellow exclamation points on your screen are all contact. I don't even know where to go, but our drivers certainly sent it into T1. Tom Foose now getting ahead. Jake Wells dropping back hard, losing spots to Tom Foose and Anthony Anderson. So Anderson taking up P2 just that fast. Aguilar moving up into P15 over Matt Kaminsky. As you see the scroll on your screen, that was, wow. Wow. Rick Pixel now dropping off hard as he's off into the sand and gravel. Down to P17. Tom Foose opening it up over Anthony Anderson at this point, but Anderson going to have to deal with Jake Wells. That was kind of horrible. Juice, you're not, Booty Juice, you are not wrong. That was a Shadow Realm send if I ever saw one, because someone came straight down the grass. And you know, look, we didn't get to see where they came from. Were they the inside line or the outside line? But what's really scary about that is could they have gone to the outside? Anytime you're going to dive to the inside of the corner, I mean, look, you see where the grass goes. You are literally going to blow through whoever is in the middle of that corner, right? Could they have sent it to the outside? If they couldn't get the car under control in time, could they have cut outside and caused fewer problems, I guess is my question. Brendan Walrath, Nikolai Tsiabuk now trading positions. And that's what I'm saying. If it's possible, though, you don't always know if that's possible, right? We didn't catch the front end of that, so we'll have to see. Keeping an eye up front on Anthony Anderson and Jake Wells. There's that gap keeps closing up a little bit. Now we see Woolworth and Paquin coming together further back. James Woolworth, Nick Paquin getting ahead of Iridian Lloyd Davis. Already runbouts now with Justin Van Visor, Tobias Gable right there behind him. Well, now Nick Paquin, Iridian Lloyd Davis coming together, allowing Rob Keystar to move himself up into P20. Let's jump up to Louis Ricard now with Matt Comiskey, Mike Burkhoff, Rick Pixel, all right there as Tom Foose sends a new fastest lap today. Now Kornikov and Walrath coming together. The contact today is just insane. Look at these guys running. We're going 2x2. Let's pull back up the picture a little bit. Kornikov and Paul Morris trading position. Meanwhile, Walrath and Tsiabuk right in front. Tsiabuk and Kornikov running that same livery. These guys teammates at some point. Oh, and a push there. Wow, Kornikov hammering Nikolai Tsiabuk, spinning him around. Tsiabuk losing 2 spots. Rick Pixel now spun around. Jarrett Skinner with contact there, and Pixel still getting hammered as he tries to get himself out of that corner. This race is just insanity. Meanwhile, up front, Tom Foose running away 3 seconds up over Anthony Anderson. Jake Wells maintaining pace with Anderson in P3 right now, as Paul Morris, Kornikov, Aguilar, and Tsiabuk continue all 4 to run together. Tom Foose setting another fastest lap for this race. The man has clear air in front of him, nothing to slow him down right now. Iridian Lloyd Davis, Nick Paquin coming together. This is just insane. Louis Ricard already into the pits. Kevin Rivera into the pits, more than likely with damage this early in the race. Only 7 minutes in and this much going on. Jake Wells closing in now on Anthony Anderson. Full send is in effect in the Pro and Silver class racing today at Nürburgring. So we've talked about this on Recovery Drive as we watch Anderson try to hold Wells at bay here. We've talked about this on Recovery Drive. I really think that when you get to the Pro and Silver class, as Aguilar now is on around, Nikolai Tiabuk and Aguilar coming together. Yep, with a push right there, sending Aguilar into a spin. Nikolai Tiabuk going to hold on to P12 for now, with Alejandro Aguilar dropping back to P16. You know, I really believe there is this Dunning-Kruger effect that happens in the with the Pro and Silver class drivers. Because they're Pro and Silver class rated, because they're fast, right? Because they can turn fast laps. There's this belief that they are better racers. Sometimes that's true, 100%. Sometimes that is true. However, I believe that this speed factor puts into their minds that they are better racers. Not faster, but better. And therefore, they are much more aggressive than they should be, especially at the very beginning of a 60-minute race. You have a full hour here in which to make up position. If you truly are the faster driver, you don't need to full send into T1 on lap 1 or 2. It just simply doesn't need to happen. And we're seeing it today. Now, we had this problem at the beginning of Season 4 with Pro and Silver class. After about 3 races, it got cleaned up. These guys have been doing fantastic, and they are all good drivers. I know not one of these guys is doing it on purpose. They're not, these are mistakes. This is not, again, maybe overly aggressive, right? But not in a purposeful way that is looking to do harm. That said, it looks like maybe it's coming back with Pro and Silver class. So we got to pull these guys back a little bit and go, hey, knock it off for a minute, okay? Calm down. You'll be all right. Well, we'll see how the rest of this race plays out as Justin Visor holds on to P5 right now over Tobias Gable. Gable closing the gap slowly. Gable just a tad slower than Justin on the last lap, but their pace is very similar, within hundredths of a second of each other. So we'll see if Gable can step things up just a little bit and get around him in this next lap or two. Paul Morris now heading into the pits. No clue, and I didn't even turn on the pit stop indicator until we get to the 30 or to the 25-minute mark. We're gonna have no clue whether or not there is a pit window for this race. As again, Paul Morris heads into the pits, drops back the ranks very quickly. I don't know how many Pro and Silver drivers were watching the first race to know that there was a pit window for the first race. So I don't know that there will be one for this race. Jake Wells continues to close on Anthony Anderson, and there he is right on the back end. McLaren versus McLaren today at the Nürb. So far, though, Anderson doing a great job holding the track, keeping his line, and keeping Wells at bay. Wells very fast. We saw this last week at Brands Hatch. Wells a very fast driver, not someone to be trifled with. Anderson, no doubt, doing everything he can keep Wells in his rearview mirror. Already Rumbout's now starting to come up on the back end of Jake Wells. So Jake putting in that interesting position of, you know, I want to try and make my pass, but I also need to play defense today. And the fact that he's trying to battle Anderson makes them both slower and has allowed now Rumbouts to close this gap, which could very quickly make this a three-way battle. Rob Keesar, Ridley and Lloyd Davis coming together back here. Keesar with that inside line. Is it going to be enough? It is for now, but Nick Paquin is also right there. Rick Pixel joining this fray. We got 4-car run as Paul Morris again heads into the pits. Rob Keesar holding this group up for the moment. A full 4-car battle as we head into lap 6. 47 minutes left to go. Now things starting to open up a little bit as as Davis, Paquin, and Pixel drop off. Paquin and Pixel running a little close together, but we got, and Charlie Booth. Charlie Booth off into the grass. Let's take a look. Once again, the curbs at Nürb just decide to handle Charlie Tooth, the Australian wonder. Let's check in with Anderson, though, because now Jake Wells and Rumbouts, this battle is getting a lot closer. But Charlie Tooth only losing 1 spot there, dropping to P8 after his incident with the curbs. As we said, we talked about it last lap. Wells with Rumbouts catching up. Now Wells has to play defense. You see that gap starting to open up to Anderson just a little bit as Wells looks to place himself in a position that does not allow Rumbouts to get an advantage on him. Two McLarens with an NSX. This is going to get spicy, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see how long this battle continues. Not one of these drivers is going to give up. And Charlie Booth, again, off into the gravel. That wild Australian is sitting off in the dirt. If I can get... Oh, and he disconnected. So Charlie Tooth is gone. We've lost Charlie. As Adam Willey heads into the pits. Rarity Rumbouts continues to apply his pressure to Jake Wells. Battle here between Rick Pixel, Rob Keesar. Keesar holding his own thus far as he heads into the pits. With Keesar heading in, Pixel going to take that spot up. Jake Wells, Rarity Rumbouts continue the battle. That's the thing, Steadfast. I would think so, but we just don't know. There was supposed to be no pit window with these races. However, the first race had one. So now the question becomes, does this race have one? I can't answer that question because I'm not doing any kind of setup or anything for this today. Yeah, well, hold on, Steadfast. You see green, but that green, right? Well, but hold on. The green that you see on your screen right now is from ACC TV. It's a separate software. The only way those pit stops get clocked is if I tick that everybody has a mandatory pit stop and the expected pit stop time of 30 seconds because tires and fuel are mandatory. So, what you're seeing is not coming from the game. It's coming from what I've told my software is expected today. Unfortunately, it's a limitation of the software. I could probably throw up the ACC. Oh, as Skinner and Seabook come together. And now wrapping up Kornikov as Skinner is just sliding back through. Looks like Skinner's going to go on into the pit. Seabook and Kornikov both showing contact. On a contact today. Yeah, so the software has limitations on what it can show. Agreed, KB. That's what we're kind of waiting for, that 25-minute mark, because it should run from 25 minutes to 35 minutes of the race. We will see if the announcer provides any information. Now, Anthony Anderson again under pressure from Jake Wells as these guys run up the hill. Anderson keeping that inside line so far has made that McLaren extremely wide. And if you look, you can see why Anderson might be really pushing today. Qualified in P4 and now he's gotten himself to P2 and wants to hold on to a podium finish. But Wells and Rumbouts are all about taking it to him, with maybe a little bit of a door knock there as Wells drops back hard. And yeah, there was a ding there, but oh, I am not going to say that anybody was at fault, not with that quick of a glance. What it does mean is Anderson holds on, Rumbouts back into third, and Tobias Gable heads into the pits from that after being up 4 spots. Jake Wells staying out. Wow, that was interesting right there. So a little bit of contact between Wells and Anderson, but again, the glance was so fast, I don't want to put blame on one or the other. Sometimes we can do that here, right? Like, obviously, the stewards always have final decision. My point being is sometimes we can look at something and go, oh, yeah, okay, we know how this is going to turn out. But in this particular case, really can't say how that one's going to turn out if there is an incident report tied to it. So now Anderson and Rombouts are going to be the only two battling, with Jake Wells knocked back a little bit and Tobias Gable heading into the pits. And I agree with you. I agree with you, Steadfast. If TG's in the pits, it probably means there's no window. It probably means there's no window. And right there, Rombouts able to run on the inside of Anderson. But Anderson set up for this next one. And again, another door ding from these two. Rombouts going very wide off into the gravel. And now Rombouts going to drop position to Wells, as Anthony Anderson holds on to P2 one more lap. Anderson not willing to give up P2 today. Thus far, Anderson having a great race. Has really done well to hold on as Justin Van Visor heads into the pits. Adam Willey, Paul Morris now coming together back for P21. It looks like Adam Willey stole. Looks like he jacked Anderson's livery. Paul Morris running this season in the Porsche. Willie right now holding his own. Jake Wells, Wyardi Rumbouts Rumbout's in that Honda just a pushing every McLaren he gets behind. Just take a quick look at manufacturers. We got BMW running the lead on this. 2 McLarens. But again, Rumbout's making that Honda sing. Timothy Glendening with an Audi in the top 10. A couple more BMWs. And then we start up with Matt Comiskey. Matt Comiskey having a really good race so far. Sitting in the Aston. With Woolworth right there behind him. Nikolai Seabuk, Igor Kornikov coming together once again. So we're going to wait it out, folks, in about another minute and a half here. And we will see if the steward, the in-game steward, announces a pit window. Put it on your calendars, folks. We are back next week at Alton Park, February 19th, 6 p.m. UTC, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. AM and Pro-Am race of 30 minutes and a 45-minute Pro and Silver race as we head to the UK for the week. And then Season 5 continues. Indianapolis after that, February 26th, and March 5th, finishing at Bathurst. Same time, same channel, but long race for that season finale. And Bathurst is my absolute favorite. I hope you all turn out for it. We are going to have an absolute blast. Now, also, it's a graphic I don't have to share with you guys, but if you are an iRacer, if you're in iRacing, please join us starting tomorrow. We have 3 series kicking off across iRacing. We're going to have an absolute blast. I'll fill you in on all that in just a moment, but 3 series that we are going to run all at the same time, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays. And there will be race coverage, most of the races, probably not all of them, but there will be race coverage right here at Box3 Motorsports for those as we start those and bring iRacing back to Box 3 after a January and holiday hiatus. We've got a DW12 season kicking off, a Rallycross, and the Toyota GR86 season will be rolling in iRacing. And Wyardi Rumbouts is finally able to make the play. Let's back it up 30 seconds. We want to take a look at this pass. Rumbouts holding on in that P3 ahead of Jake Wells, but Wells want to take it back. Anderson, this giving Anderson a bit of an advantage as these two battle. Anderson's got some clean air in front of him. Now 3 seconds ahead of Rumbouts, a little over 3 seconds. So if he can keep that clean air, he'll be doing himself a favor as Rumbouts and Wells continue to battle. I do apologize, folks. I have a little bit of a distraction going on right now as Jake Wells does head into the pits and breaks that battle up. Work calls, and it's Super Bowl Sunday, so go Birds. But given the business side, oh, and Rumbout's now yellow. Whoa, Rumbout's now yellow flagged. Let's back that one up a little ways. Timothy Glendinning getting around. We'll see where everyone else ends up here. Brandon Walrath getting past. A long replay here, but I wanted to make sure we caught this because Rumbout should have been all alone. Gets through T1 without issue. And it looks like possibly a hardware problem as he just runs off into the toolies and sits there, and with that replay finished is still just sitting there. Riddian Lloyd Davis taking up P8 after that. Jake Wells now coming back out of the pits. So guys, we had no announcement at 35 minutes that there was a pit window, so no pit window on this race. These guys can stop whenever they want. With that said, I'm going to take a quick step away and leave you on autopilot. Try and deal with this work stuff so I don't have to interrupt this race anymore. We'll let the pit stops roll through, see where things wash out here in the next 5 minutes or so, as I'm sure pit stops will continue. So stick around. We are going to finish out the next 31 minutes of racing here at Box 3 Motorsports. Thank you again, everybody, for joining me. Don't go anywhere, though. We're going to be right here to finish this race. And apologies for the step away, folks, but work does call sometimes. Aguilar into the pits. Anthony Anderson now dropping position to Jake Wells. Wells finally finding the opening. Aguilar and Davis both into the pits as the last, it looks like the last two stops to clear. Everyone else has been in on my screen, so we should be good there. Tom Foose continues, much like in our first race today. Much like in our first race, we see P1 just running with it and just taking off. A 16-second gap now from Foose to Wells. I don't see that being closed, even with the 23.5 minutes we have left today. I don't see it shutting down. But right now, Brandon Walrath, Timothy Glendening in the Audi, catching up on the back end of Brandon Walrath. Aguilar and Visor now trading positions. Bumping back and forth as we were focused. And right there, a little bit of contact between the two of them, but nothing serious. Able to keep things on track as Aguilar takes up P9. Comiskey not that far behind, though. We'll see if they can close up to make this a three-way battle before the end of this race. You see how much curb these cars are able to eat around that little hook chicane. Kornikov and Seabuk running P6 and 7, closing in on each other. A lot of battles here. Rob Keystar and Nick Paquin a little further back for P16 right now. Paquin showing a little bit of damage on the front, so you have to wonder what he's carrying that might allow Keystar to close up that gap pretty quickly. Ricard takes up P12 over Rick Pixel. But again, Walrath and Glendening for P4, running very close right now. Glendening appearing to bide his time. Walrath now stretching it out. Let's check in on Kornikov and Seabuk. These guys running the same livery in the 159 and the 951. I'm willing to bet teammates elsewhere that enjoy close racing together and the competition. Jarrett Skinner now into the pits. Adam Willey heading into the pits. Wow, and Seabuk taking a skip across the grass. That's going to slow him way, way down. Missed his mark on that corner as things start to calm down a little bit between all of our drivers. Let's take a quick look at the position deltas for today. Brandon Walrath having a banger of a race. Let's just put it that way. Up 13 spots into P4. Did not get hung up in the T1 shenanigans and has been able to hold on to that position since then and have done a great job in P4. Again, Glendening there threatening, but either way, even if Glendening were to get around, Walrath's got to be happy with today's performance. Kornikov, same way, up 12 spots from number 18 at today's start. Seabuk up 7 spots from 14. Aguilar up 7. Matt Comiskey up 11. These guys having great races. Obviously, if there are winners, there's got to be losers. Tobias Gable down 12 at this point. Rick Pixel down 6 spots, and Jarrett Skinner down 8. Mike Burkhoff having lost 2 so far. A lot of winners and losers today, and there we see Tom Foose setting a new fastest lap, 153.852. Why already in the chat telling us now when I restart my wheel, it keeps turning full force to the right. So what we saw earlier that we thought was a problem was a hardware issue. Turned out that it was. Glendenning holding on and taking that spot, moving up into P4. But as I said, though, Walrus still got to be happy with today's results, being up as far as he is. Glendenning and getting into that P4 position. Kornikov and Ziabuk side by side now. A little bit of contact between the two of them. See those brake lights coming on almost at the exact same time. You got to wonder, as Nikolai Ziabuk takes up P6, you got to wonder if these guys are farming SA at this point, right? Ziabuk and Kornikov have been running together this whole race. Ziabuk finally getting ahead. Now Mike Burkhoff getting in the middle of this, and Kornikov off into the grass. So getting separated from partner Ziabuk, losing position to both Burkhoff and Aguilar, and now Van Weiser. So Kornikov losing 4 spots just like that. You know, we talked about it last week with Phil. It's all about, it doesn't matter what track it is, and we can talk about Brands Hatch last week and how in the rain, your consistency matters so much more than it does on a dry race. But no matter what, it doesn't matter the race conditions. Dry, wet, high temps, low temps, cloudy, sunny. That pavement, you know, you could go out there and fry an egg on that tarmac. It does not matter. If you can't maintain the consistency and hit your apexes and your exits, if you can't keep it on the track, hit the same spot of the curb every time, at some point it's going to cost you. And I think that's what we just saw there for Igor Kornikov. There we go, car 29 with a stop-go penalty. Adam Willey, the stop-go 30 today. More than likely for track limits. Let's take a look in on Alejandro Aguilar as Justin Van Weiser and Igor Kornikov both close this gap up. All 3 drivers tighten it up through that long parabolica at the bottom of the hill. Aguilar and Weiser the battle here right now as Kornikov slides back just a bit. 14.5 minutes left to go in today's race. A lot of great action so far. And a lot of bad action. Let's be fair. Aguilar holding his own, and now Visor and Kornikov both slipping back. Tom Foose, meanwhile, up front. Let's take a look at Tom Foose in the number 27 car. Done a fantastic job. The gap opened to 20 seconds over Jake Wells. Foose with nothing but a cruise in front of him. Doing well to avoid the traffic, the blue flags, and just continuing to open the gap. Wells doing not so bad himself. Anderson back 1.5 seconds. Even with 13 minutes left to go, currently not a threat. We haven't seen that gap close up a whole lot as Anderson just tools along. I think both these guys in their McLarens are happy with where they're finishing today. Timothy Glendinning, meanwhile, 22 seconds back from Anderson. Has quite a bit of time to make up and will more than likely not be able to do that. Right there, though, Justin Van Visor getting around Alejandro Aguilar on your screen. Aguilar looking for the line, though. As we see a little door banging between the two of them. And Aguilar takes it back through the chicane. Can he hold it, though? That looked awful rough. Oh, and a push there. Wow, a push there from Visor. And is Kornikov going to be able to capitalize? He has gotten around Aguilar. But Justin Van Visor going to run it out now with Kornikov. And now Aguilar right behind him. Kornikov bringing up the rear. Even with all the incidents that we've seen today, some great racing from our drivers. Incidents happen, but it's always good to see them come back, stick with it, and continue that great racing, that great hard fought but clean racing we've come to expect here at Box3 Motorsports. And now all of a sudden we've got a battle for P2 as Anthony Anderson has closed the gap on Jake Wells. I think Wells must have had a little bit of a shimmy or something. That gap closed way too quickly for him to have not had a problem in that number 84 McLaren. Now the question becomes, can Anderson apply enough pressure in the next 10 minutes to take back P2 from Wells? Just don't do that thing from the last race again. The only thing I can do is throw up the position deltas. You guys can take a look. Jarrett Skinner decided to remain the rest of this race in the pits. Nick Paquin now with Rob Keesar coming up on the back. Paul Morris Not far behind, but right there, right now is, I think you see in your background, is Tobias Gable. And Rob Keesar able to make that cut and get around Nick Paquin just like that to take up P16. A little bit of contact on the way around, but Keesar able to own it. Another Porsche driver, just doing what Porsches do, trying to kill people on their way by. Meanwhile, Tom Foose up front in the number 27 car, just hammer down and having a great race. 20.7 seconds back to Jake Wells. Great run there for Tom. But awesome to see some of our silver class drivers sitting in that top 10. Timothy Glendenning, Brandon Walrath, Nikolai Tsiabuk, Mike Burkhoff, and Igor Kornikov, all sitting in the top 10 as silver class drivers. Paquin taking it back from Keesar now. Yeah, so what's going on, Steadfast, is basically our pro drivers are gray and our silver drivers are red on the tower to your left. Check back in with Jake Wells, currently running in second. You see Anthony Anderson there right behind him, about a 1.5 second gap. So far, that's maintained pretty well. We saw it close up earlier, about two or three laps ago, where suddenly Anderson was within 0.3, 0.4 seconds. But since then, it's opened back up. Anderson's holding his own, but as Tom Foose gets slowed up with traffic, Anderson's holding his own certainly, but was unable to, with Wells possibly, again, we didn't catch it. So with Wells possibly making a mistake, Anderson unable to capitalize on that mistake as Tom Foose looks for clean air to get around Keesar and get moving again. A little bit of traffic holding him up, but nothing's going to eat up 20 seconds with only 5.5 minutes left to go. Nikolai Tsiabuk dropping position now to Mike Burkhoff. Very quick pass there, came together very quickly. Looked like Tsiabuk kind of let him around. Given they're the same class, I'm a little unsure why, but it was a very quick and easy pass as they came together. Lewis Ricard, Jason Woolworth starting to come together back here for P13. Woolworth closing the gap very quickly into T1 as Lewis Ricard holds on. Woolworth up 6 spots on the day. Very good race for him. Just a minute and a half left to go. And Tom Foose has started his final lap today. We will be at the end of this race here at the Nürburgring. Keystar getting around Nick Paquin a little further back for P16. As you see, the two of them came together again. A little door bang, and they've stayed together, so we know it's not... I'm not going to focus there because we've got a battle going on right here, but... oh, and Walrath. Wow. Out of nowhere, Glendinning dropping back. Let's back it up about 30 seconds and take a quick look at Brandon Walrath. Right here behind Timothy Glendinning. I want to see where Timothy went yellow. And again, the curbs take their victims up through that very fast chicane coming up the hill into the final corner. And right, Timothy Glendinning. Timothy Glendinning losing position to Brandon Walrath because of it. Tom Foose just owning this race on the final lap right now. Coming into that same chicane we just watched Glendinning struggle with in the number 2 Audi. As Tom Foose wraps it out and crosses the line, P1 today for our race, round 4 of season 5 at the Nürburgring. Jake Wells wrapping up the hill right now. Looks like Paquin and Gable coming together with contact here at the end of the race. But both of them finished out. There you have it, folks. Tom Foose, Jake Wells, Anthony Anderson, your top 3 for the race here at the Nürburgring. Again, round 4 of season 5 of Box 3 Motorsports. Brandon Walrath coming across in 4th. Timothy Glendinning crossing the line in 5th. Mike Burkhoff, Nikolai Tsiabuk with a top 10 finish today. Great job. Listen, great job from Walrath, Glendinning, Burkhoff, and Tsiabuk. Top 10 finishes, and Kornikov. Top 10 finishes as silver class drivers. Excellent to see these guys mixing it up. Let's go back to Lewis Ricard. Jason Woolworth here right at the end, though. These two still battling it out. Rick Pixel off into the Toolies as Luridian Lloyd Davis picks up P14. Lewis Ricard able to hold on over Jason Woolworth here at the end of the race. Hey, you have it, folks. Nürburgring is over. Thank you so much for joining me. Next week, Phil Milwee will be back to join me, hopefully, for our race at Alton Park. And I do want to apologize to all of you. As I said, some work things kicked in. It's Super Bowl Sunday, and in my line of business, it's the biggest day of the year for viewership, and we need to make sure we're on our stuff. So I did have to take some texts. I had to send some messages. I had to watch TV for a little while to make sure things were good to go. So I do apologize for that. I don't really like things taking me away from the race. So I'll appreciate your patience for it this Sunday, and we will be back full steam next week. You guys are fantastic. Again, we're back at Oulton Park next Sunday, okay, for season 5. Season 5 continues at Oulton Park next Sunday, but don't go anywhere, because I want you to remember 12 hours at Mount Panorama in the chat right now. That's the channel you're going to watch it on, twitch.tv/trackalicious. Make sure you get over there and support these guys running a 12-hour race. I was going to cover it. I really wanted to, but then they wanted to cover it, and I probably have things going on with my kids, so I said, you know what, you guys cover it. It's going to be fantastic, though. Either way, I'm going to be tuning in to watch as much as I can the 12 hours of Bathurst. That closes out the endurance season between Trackalicious, 949, and Box3 Motorsports. It's going to be a great race. Don't forget to tune in. And again, as I said before, if you are an iRacing fan, if you are an iRacer, come join us. 3 new seasons launched. Take that iRacing role on the Discord server. Get the announcements. Come see us on iRacing. That starts on Monday, Wednesdays, and Saturdays starting this week. So again, thank you everybody so much for joining me. I appreciate you. We are back next week at Oulton Park. Have a wonderful week. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Go Birds. You know Frank Reynolds. Go Birds. And I will talk to you all next Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern. Thank you so much, folks.